Good evening. Hey, hey. All right, we're getting some people in here now. Hello, hello. That was my wife sneezing in the background that you just heard. There will be there'll be more of that as we progress through the night. I got a big old giant glass of sweet tea. So let's see if we can do one of these longer marathons. Let's just relax. Hopefully you guys are well. Am I coming in clear? Can you guys hear me? I think I have everything connected. Oh, it looks like Randy's in here. Yeah. All right.
Rattle, FaceTime video.
Randy's trying to FaceTime me right now. I'm going to put this on Do Not Disturb. You know, it's actually interesting. We're going to test something tonight. I'm going to test taking phone calls, and I want to see how that goes. I'm curious how that's going to go. So if we've got anybody out there that is cool with that, you want to test that out, like call in. I've got a number you can call into. I'll go ahead and throw that in the chat window. One moment, please. I'm testing this to prepare for Wednesday. We're going to do a live stream on Wednesday. We're going to see if we can raise some money for Chris, the vinyl attack. It's been raining cats and dogs over in Michigan, and the poor dude is like underwater right now. Built out a studio, and yeah, we're going to try to help him out. And anyways, I'm going to throw this in here. This is the call-in number. I don't know if this is going to work well, but we might as well test it. So if anybody wants to call in, the way that it will work is it's a Google Voice number, and you'll just be prompted to wait for a moment as I accept your phone call, and then we'll be talking, and it'll be interesting to find out how that sounds and how that works. So, yeah. Randy says, "I'm sorry, that obviously wasn't as funny to you as it was to me." I see. So right before I started the live stream, I got a text message from Randy saying, "Hey, are you available for a quick, phone call consultation?" And I started the live stream, and then he FaceTimed me. So he's being funny. Good old Randy being funny. What mixer you use for this session? I have been relying on this wonderful Rodecaster Pro for many years. Any of the voiceovers that I used to do, well, not used to, any of the more recent voiceovers, I typically record using this, and then I, you know, do all the B-roll shots laid on top of whatever I've scripted for, the review. And yeah, this has kind of just been something that I've relied on for the past couple of years, and I love it. It's great. So yeah, I just realized I should not have put my phone on Do Not Disturb because I missed one of your phone calls. So whoever just called me, try that again. I didn't mean to. I'm not clearly I'm not all cylinders are not a go this evening so far. Anyways, yeah, so try that again if you want, and we'll see if we can take your call. I've got the way this is set up right now is a little bit weird. It feels a little bit awkward to me. Usually I have the computer a bit closer so I can actually see what you guys are asking me, but it's a bit further away. So I'll do the best that I can. Larry asks,
Phone caller.
you got a phone call.
Press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hello, hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Just helping you test out the system.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. So on my end, you sound pretty good. It sounds like a radio show, as if you're just calling in. Do I sound clear on your end?
Perfect.
Awesome.
Completely perfect. Like, it sounds great. It sounds like if it's a regular phone call.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, cool. While you got me, do you have any questions that you wanted to ask or anything that you needed help with?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I just built a pair of XLS Encores and I did the center channel for them. But now I don't know what to do for subwoofers. I have
subs?
two
Okay.
cheap subwoofers.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if it's better to have two cheap subwoofers or one good subwoofer.
Yeah, this is a question that comes up pretty often, and I've always been in the mindset that you might be better off with two more affordable subwoofers instead of one expensive subwoofer. Now, there's some caveats to that, and there's some disclaimers, but the advantage of having stereo subs is a big deal because you can actually balance out the bass in the room a lot easier when you have two subs to work with. So that's the direction that I would go. I would actually try to get two more affordable subs, find some used subs or maybe build them yourself. And I would do that instead of investing in one more expensive or pricier sub is what I would do.
Okay. Sounds good.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for the call, dude. I appreciate it. Thank you, buddy.
No problem.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Cool. That worked. All right. Let me back up. We got a couple questions right out of the gate. We have Larry asking, how's Texas? Texas has been awesome. We have been loving it here. Thank you so much for asking. The weather's been great. It's been raining a lot, and that is just delightful for us because it's like, what is this stuff falling from the sky? And it's wonderful. So we've been enjoying it, and the kids are loving it. Sarah is loving it. We're all really happy. So thank you for asking. I appreciate that. Let me just take a look here. Hey, I noticed that you did a brief video about the Parks Audio Puffin a while back. There was not a follow-up. What happened? This is from My Own Devices, and if you're not subscribed to his channel, do so now. He is a fellow content creator. And yeah, so I get this question often. And what happened is I just got really lazy, and I don't know how else to say it. I've actually spent quite a bit of time with the Puffin, and I feel like I could probably do the review right now. I still have it, and I still plan on doing that review. So that's just the honest to goodness truth. Is it was just around the time of things starting to get a little bit hectic and a little bit busy, a little bit crazy, and it just never saw, that review never saw the light of day. And so I need to correct that and give that particular product a voice. It's actually great. There's not one thing about the Puffin that bothers me, to be frank with you. And, that's coming from even like an analog purist, and knowing that the Puffin is completely, digital, and the way that Mr. Parks is using digital to essentially control that device is rather brilliant. It's smart. And at no point am I listening to the Puffin thinking this sounds digital. That has not been my experience. It actually sounds quite great. So yeah, that's the deal with that guy. Thank you for asking. Do you still think the NX Audica with subs is the best you have heard in your house? I think that it is definitely the best that I've heard at that price point and well above that price point. As I mentioned in the breakdown video of the Audicas versus the Sapphires, now that's an interesting fight. They do, they're different sounding speakers in a couple of different key areas. I'm not going to explain it all over again, but the Sapphires are a brilliant choice for somebody that just, quite frankly, they don't want to do it themselves, and they want just a complete product, just done, ready to go, plug and play. You turn it on, and you have fantastic sound right out of the gate, that's the Sapphires. And I love them dearly. The Exoticas and the subs are a different beast altogether. It's a more complex system, if you will. And what I mean by complex is you have two towers that you built yourself, right? From beginning to end, you built them yourself. And you also have A-frame subs that, again, you built yourself. And now you need to set everything up. And that isn't just as easy as turning on some plate amps, adjusting bass, to your liking. It's more complex and complicated than that. So that's a tough one. I will say that the Audicas and the subs, they are mind-bending great. They will break your brain if you are okay with taking the time to learn that system, taking the time to embrace the fact that you're going to have cables on the dance floor and a lot of mess going on in terms of plate amps and wires connected to everything. It's not simple, pretty, plop them down and you're done. But if you are willing to embrace them for what they are incredible. Absolutely, hands down, one of the best, if not the best systems that I've spent time with so far. The only thing that would rival those that sounds similar, if not the same, are the NXtremes. And with those, you need the real estate. You need a bigger room. But yeah, they're incredible, man. Noah asks, and guys, I'm going to take my time tonight. I'm in no rush tonight. I've got sweet tea and I've got time. So I'm going to spend time with you guys tonight. So if you're asking questions down below, I'll get to it. Just bear with me. Noah asks, you reviewed Wilson Sabrinas a couple years ago. I know you are super into open baffle now. How do you compare the Sabrinas to some of the GR research or spatial audio units? Yeah. I was very enthusiastic about Sabrinas, and I would still totally love to hear them again after all of this time, to spend more time with them in this environment, in my new listening room. It is a different experience. It's a completely different sounding speaker than the spatials and the GR research. And it's very difficult to say, well, which one is better? You're kind of asking the wrong question. It's like, how do they differ? What are some of the differences that you're going to notice? And so, keeping this as brief as I can so I can move on to other questions, I would say the biggest difference that you are going to hear going from something like a Sabrina to the Sapphires to the NXoticas with H-frame subs is the bass is going to be a completely different experience. The Sabrinas do offer texture and tone. They are using a fantastic woofer. It's a paper cone woofer. Scan Speak Revelator, if I'm not mistaken. And they do have that leading attack and that texture and tone in bass that I love. So that is one similar check mark to what you can experience with the Sapphires as well as the H-frame subs. Everything past that leading note or that texture and tone is completely different. So what happens in a room with Sabrinas is you're dealing with sound pressure because you have a ported design, right? It's a bandpass box. It's a ported design, and you have pressure building up inside that box, and it escapes that box, and you have room boom. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but the interaction with the room is very different and sounds very different than open baffle offerings, where they are using the room, make no mistake about it, but they're using it in a very different way. And the way that it sounds is cleaner. It is faster. It is more articulate. It's just the note, and then it stops. Whereas with Sabrina, it is the note and then room boom after it, right? There is some extra stuff thrown into the mix, and that's not for everybody. I do like both, right? Depending on the application for cinema and stuff like that. I think that effect, that's what I would call it, is great and it's welcomed and I'm fine with it. It's like, okay, I want to hear a big explosion. I want to feel like all that I want to feel the sound pressure and I just want to hear that room boom and the entire wall shaking and everything. That's cool and that's a neat effect. But if I'm critically listening and I want to hear how an upright sounds with nothing else added, and that's the key, just the upright, then open baffle bass is the way to go because you will hear it, you'll hear the note, and you'll hear nothing added with it. And so that's going to be the biggest key difference. Now, one other little highlight, and then I'll move on. The Sapphires are not truly open baffle from top to bottom, right? So they're using the M100 Uniwave mid-range tweeter, and it's crossing over from 650 all the way up to 20K and beyond. It actually reaches out to about 30K. That is not open baffle, so it's not open in the back. Whereas with the Audicas, it is 100% open baffle from the bass drivers, right? Mid-bass bass drivers, all the way up to the top. And so with the Audicas, that does offer up some really interesting details in the music and some three-dimension kind of holographic type things that happen as you're listening to music. And it is intoxicating. When it's done right and you have the right room where it can flourish and it can dance in, man, you are in for a treat because it is wild. It does come with the consequence of room treatment. Like, you can't just throw those into any old big room and be like, yeah, okay, I'm great. I'm done. No, it does come with the responsibility of knowing you're going to be looking at some diffusion. You're going to be looking at some absorption. There's a lot of things that you would need to take into consideration dealing with those back waves hitting that back wall. So, or the front wall, actually. Anyways, all right, we'll go ahead and move on. Why don't you do any Raspberry Pi streamers? John Darko has some content on them. Jason, I actually have the Pecan Pi from Orchard Audio in the house, and that I'm going to tackle that. So that's a great question. Let's fix it. I plan to fix that. So yeah. This is a great question from Gary. Gary asked, why did you stop taking speakers apart? It was cool seeing what's inside. That was a tough one, and I battle with that. On one hand, you guys love it. I love it. You know who doesn't love it? The manufacturers. They don't love those videos. And so there's this line, right? It's the integrity line of like, okay, well, do I just keep opening them up and not say anything? Well, that's a quick way to kill off your channel and not get any products at all because they'll be like, well, screw this guy, right? Do you let them know? And that's what I would do is like, hey, I want to let you know this is part of the show. This is something that I do. This is something that you can expect. And it seems like it's a bit wishy-washy with the manufacturers at that point. Some of them they're like, no, no, you cannot. And they have, sometimes really good reasons for it. Not like, hey, we're trying to hide what we have on the inside of the speaker, but they're like, well, we need the speakers back, right? And we do things with those speakers. And if you take it apart, we can't do what we planned on doing with it because you took it apart. Or what if something happens when you take it apart? Maybe it's excuses. I think it's probably reasonable. It's good reasons as to why it doesn't work for every manufacturer. So, it's something I battle with because Gary, like you, I enjoy it. And I like seeing what's inside speakers. And I like knowing, like inside out, what are you doing? Where is this money going? And even if we don't even get into the components, like what about the bracing and what kind of bracing techniques are you using? So all this to say, I don't think that idea is dead. I think it is set to the side for now. And it's maybe something that I would revisit. So, yeah. Next question here. Any good vinyl recommendations that are available? Recently got Dream with Dean album and think it might be cleanest record ever heard. Anything else out there like that? Search and Destroy. I can't comment because it's been a little while since I have been digging into the bins. Just to be honest with you, being a dad kind of changed literally everything. And it's like playing records is like going to Mordor. It's a challenge. It's like, oh, you want to play a record? Well, that's going to be easy. Like, I will say this, all kidding aside, bless my wife's heart. She is the best. I have a studio and I have a listening room now. And that was all her. Honestly, she's just like, dude, when we get this new place in Texas, I want you to have your own listening room so you're not bothered by the kids at all. You can do whatever you want, set it up the way that you want. It's all you. And so vinyl is back on the menu. And so shortly, I will be able to start diving back more into listening to vinyl and giving vinyl recommendations. So that's a great question. Thank you. Let's take a look here. Cheap Audio Man. And if you have not subscribed to his channel, make sure you do that. He says, serious question, was talking to someone today about high current amps. There doesn't seem to be an easy spec to determine if the amp is high current. Question was really in regards to Magnapan LRS. So high current, and to determine whether or not an amplifier is truly high current is you take a look at the wattage output at 100 watts, and if it doubles at 4 ohms, let me back up. I think my brain just stopped working there for a second. You take a look at the wattage rating at 8 ohms, and if it doubles at 4 ohms, and then if it doubles again at 2 ohms, meaning it goes up, so 100 to 200, 200 to 400, then the chances are you're looking at a high current amplifier. So it is able to deliver those loads, the wattage in different loads as the impedance shifts and changes. And that's the way that I've always, spec'd it out. That's how I've figured it out is, okay, we're working with a high current amp because it doubles down as it drops impedance loads. I think that's correct. And if I'm wrong, then let me know. Brent, super active in Patreon, super active in emails and comments. Thank you, dude. I appreciate you. And he has his own channel. He's been doing a lot of demos using this little binaural recorder that he has, Zoom recorder. And he actually, out of the kindness of his heart, sent me one to play with, which was totally awesome. And I plan on using that very soon. He says the God tier is a 4-tier sub array with 2 open baffle subs in the front and 2 closed subs in the rear corners of the room. Brent, you're probably not wrong. I would probably listen to that system, invite Sarah, and see if we can shake off her clothes, and then see what happens. Probably some pretty cool things. All right. Let's just take a look here. Michael P asks, Arendal 1723 ? I don't know. Never heard of it. They're supposed to be great for home theater and 2-channel. Michael P, I apologize. I don't know. I don't know, and that's the honest answer there. All right. At 35 feet and a amplifier at 1,000 watts at 8 ohms, what speakers gauge wire should I use? $10 gauge. 10 to 12, probably 10 is what I'm going to guess. And you sound crazy, which is awesome. You might as well go 2,000 watts. You're kind of slacking, but yeah, you're probably pretty rad. Are you planning on reviewing more open baffle speakers? Yes, I would love to. It is difficult because that is just a game that not a lot of manufacturers are playing. They keep building and sending box speakers. These are fantastic, by the way. They're probably my favorite JBLs that I've ever played with so far. But yeah, the answer is yes. I mean, I would love to be frank with you, I would love to just review open baffle speakers or dipole speakers. That would make me very happy. But that's just not the way the world works. And there's just not a ton of options out there for open baffle. And I wish that would change. I really do. I wish that the entire industry would take a look at open baffle more seriously and say, okay, maybe there's something going on here. I really do wish that they would do that. Oh, geez, he's in Texas and already in the sweet tea. Yes, I am. It is amazing. Hi, Ron. What's the cheapest audio gear you've come across that surprised me? The cheapest audio gear that I've come across that surprised me. I would say that the original ELACs, the debuts, B6 or whatever they were, man. Oh, that's a mosquito. Get out of here, dude. Those jacked me up. What Andrew did, I think, to the entire industry at that moment, it was just like a shift, like a paradigm shift. Like I imagine like a conference room and you have like these big companies and they're like, hey, Bob, what are we going to do with this year's speaker? Oh, I don't know. Let's just paint it orange. Same speaker, but we'll just paint it orange. Kids will love it. Yeah, you're promoted. You're a genius. That's what we're going to do. Then they get a phone call and it's like, hey, guys, Andrew Jones is working for ELAC now and he's making some speakers. And they'd say like, oh, okay, well, that doesn't matter. I mean, he just came from, Pioneer and we don't need to worry about it. They're like just a couple $100. And then people get very scared and they realize that just painting speakers orange for the kids is probably not enough anymore. And I genuinely feel like there was a big shift and a change that kind of was started around that time. And I think that he had a big part of that. Yeah. And I would say those original debuts, they have a very special place in my heart. I remember going to the shows and when they were first revealed and messing with audio files. We're talking like, Hawaiian shirt audio files, sandals, socks and sandals coming in. Man, I messed with some dudes. It was a lot of fun. So, Jeff is saying that my audio is breaking up to the point where I can't listen much longer. Something way wrong. Are you guys getting some breakups? Let me know down below. I do have a noise gate enabled. So what you might be hearing is maybe that noise gate turning on and off. It's possible. I apologize though. Probably nothing I can do about it right now. So would you use the Revel speakers for theater? Nope, I don't think I would at this point. At least not the ones that I reviewed. Hi, Ron. Isn't bass output dictated by the size of the enclosure? I think it's, well, yes, sure. I think that has something to do with it. The size of the driver, the size of the enclosure, how much air is moving. Sure, yeah. If I said something that would contradict that, I didn't mean to. There's a lot of buzz on the AudioGone forum that Danny Ritchie sleeps standing up. Is that true? It is confirmed, and it's creepy. Hey, Ron. If appropriate to ask, I just picked up a set of Golden Ear 3s. You reviewed the 3 Pluses a few years back. Are you able to suggest an amp to match around $1,000 to $1,500? A ton of amplifiers. The nice thing about those Golden Ears is they're pretty darn sensitive. And so that opens the door to a wide range of amplifiers. I would say around that price point, I would search high and low for a used NAD M10 for 2-channel. If you're talking 2-channel, I would, because I've seen NAD M10s go as low as $1,500. They're brand new. They're like $2,500. So they're out of your budget. But if you could get an NAD M10, that would be a killer. Looks like a little cube, like a toy, and it's not. It's extremely powerful. And I would see that being a fantastic pairing with those golden ears. The Sound Sommelier did a video recently of recording the song Cigarettes After Sex on the Sabrinas, and I did the same thing and recorded that song on my Spatial X5s to compare. I'm sure it sounded very different. Sup, Ron? You have seen some Real Hi-Fi Helps channel. Keep up the great videos. Have you seen Real Hi-Fi Helps channel? Yes, I have. Third Eye Diego. I do know who you're talking about. I have seen his videos. Yes, I have. Have you tried the Denafrips Terminator Plus yet? No, I have not. Let's just take a look here, guys. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit, and I'm worried about that sound. So I'm going to see little crackles, popping sounds, little crackles, no breakup. I'm getting some crackling. Lots of popping sounds. Okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try turning off, if I can. Oh, boy. So the noise gate is turned off. So you are going to hear the room. You're going to hear some room noise, but let me know right now, and I'll scroll back up and get to the questions. How is that sounding? Is that any better? Is it crackling? Nope, still got some crackle. Big improvement. Slightly worse. Sounds the same. This is how you know you're talking to a bunch of audiophiles. We can't agree on anything. Oh my goodness sakes. Still some pops. All right, guys. Well, I'm sorry. There's only so much I can do here. Let me scroll back up. I'll go ahead and leave the noise gate off, and I'll just, we'll just carry on. We'll do the best we can. All right, let's see here. You know what I was just thinking about? I wonder if it's this Bluetooth enabled that I have set up. Let me try to disable this. I wonder if that might be it, because that's the first time I've ever used that. I was just thinking about that. All right, the phone is now removed. Bluetooth is disabled. Maybe that helps. Hopefully that helps. Anyways, all right. Have I tried the Denafrips Terminator Plus yet? No, I haven't. Manufacturers can send you pictures of every angle. They do not want you popping them open. That is true. That is exactly what I have found, is they do not like you taking speakers apart. I'm thinking about Omega speakers. What's your take on a single driver speaker? My opinion about wideband drivers has changed over the years. I used to be pretty excited about the idea of one driver that does everything, because it's the most purest way to listen to music. I mean, that's what a lot of audiophiles that like wideband drivers would say. And I would say they're right in some regards, and they're not really looking at it from every angle in a lot of different regards. I mean, it's like kind of half the story. You have one driver, so you have a very coherent, soundscape to work with. Everything is just coming from one place, which is fantastic. The issue is that one driver is not designed material-wise, motor structure, you name it. It is not designed to do everything really well. As we go higher in frequencies, the material typically gets to be quite a bit more stiff, quite a bit more hard, because frequencies are getting higher and those vibrations are getting tighter. And so we move into harder materials that are being used to deal with that. As we get lower and lower and lower, we typically have drivers with a bit more X-Max excursion capabilities, bigger motor structures, are able to handle the demand of bass, right? Lower frequencies, longer wavelengths, right? And so that driver is able to move and move some air. There really is no wideband driver that I know of that can do all of it and do it all really, really well. And so I have heard nothing but praise about the Omega speakers, and I've never spent time with them. So I don't know. I'm kind of saying maybe I think his name is Lewis, if I'm not mistaken, with Omega. Maybe he has cracked a code. I don't know. I'm not huge on them as I was. I'm really not. I've heard enough of them to where it's like, yeah, mid-range, nice. Everything else could be better. They don't extend as high as I want, or they don't drop down as low as I want. And for that, you need different materials and different drivers to be able to do those things, to do those jobs. And that involves a crossover, and the list goes on and on. Yeah, so have you seen the price increases as of July 1st at VPI? Material costs couldn't have risen that much. I had to get my 3D reference arm before it went up $500, as did the rest of the tone arms. JSM Tech, I didn't know that. That's a shame. That's unfortunate. I do know that there are many companies that are dealing with price increases and problems, and I'm sorry to hear that's affected VPI. That sucks. Got any update comment for us regarding your long-term evaluation comparison preference between the Spatial Audio M3 and the X3 X5s? No, and it hasn't really been long-term. I mean, I literally got the X series in right before I moved, and they're sitting in my container. So we've been in here for just a month, and I haven't had the chance to crack them open and get them back out on the dance floor and listen to them. So everything that you have heard me say about those so far, everything that I have done in terms of recording, that all stands to be true. But I haven't pulled them back out to dig in a little bit deeper and, figure those things out. So I will tell you that in the times that I have, before we moved, done some direct comparisons between the Sapphires and the X series, I probably move more in the direction of the Sapphire sound, and that's just my preference. As noted and heard in the binaural recording shootout that we did, those X series, they are going to showcase a lot of information, a ton of information, especially as we get up higher and higher and higher. And they do offer some really interesting benefits of the fact that they have a plate amp. It's a powered sub. And so you can adjust that bass to your liking, whereas with the Sapphires, you cannot. So it's tough, man. I'm excited to get those back out, spend more time with them so I can sleep at night knowing that when I get to that review that I've done it well and I have covered all the bases that need to be covered. So that has not happened yet, but there you go. Maybe the bad sound is on your end, Jeff. It's possible. Maybe try disconnecting, reconnecting. I don't know what to tell you, man. I have seen you on a lot. I have seen you have a lot of room treatment these days. Any diffuser maker you have liked? Noah, that's a great question. And diffusion is something that hasn't really been something that I have used all that much in the past. And I'm using it now. And the diffusers that I am using are from PI Audio Group. And in the room treatment video that I'm going to be doing, the listing room video that I'm going to be doing, that I'm thinking through right now how I can do that and make sure I do it well, I'll be discussing the pros and cons to the diffusers from PI Audio Group. They're styrofoam. And out of the box, I'm just going to say this. I would make the argument that while they are diffusing out of the box, that I believe 100% without a doubt, they are also absorbing. And I would go as far as to say they might be absorbing more than they are diffusing. Now, what I quickly learned, and this isn't like some kind of a crazy secret that PI Audio Group doesn't know. They know this, and they even talk about it on their site. You got to paint them. Something as simple as paint makes a difference, and the difference that it makes is a big difference. So the short of it is I'm using PI Audio Group diffusers. I like the price. Very reasonable for what you get. I don't like them out of the box. You got to paint them. So either have them paint. I think they offer to paint them from PI Audio Group, or you can paint them yourselves. And I'll be discussing this in greater length when I get to that video. So that's what I use. Yeah. Cheap Audio Man hits on a very good high point about high current measurement specs. Yeah, well, he's a smart guy. The HW40 anniversary turntable went from 15K to 20K, no changes. They seem to be gouging like the real estate market right now. Well, that's a shame. I mean, if they are doing that, and if that's true, that is a bummer. Your JBL looks like the little brother of the 9K model that you heard, Jeff. Yeah, these are the 4309s is what they are. They're brand new. They just came out. Hey, babe. What's up, baby? Popcorn? I would love some, but I think it'd be too crunchy on the mic. All right. Thank you, honey. I appreciate you. Popcorn. Sweet tea. Sweet wife. Happy life. That's a poem I just wrote for you, babe. All right. Oh, man, you can hear me drinking with that noise gate turned off. That's weird. That's gross. Yes. Yeah, let's take a look here. What are your thoughts on Martin Logan electrostats? They're okay. They're not bad. I think I like Maggie's more than the Martin Logan offerings. I haven't heard all of the stuff from Martin Logan, so it's kind of a blanket statement, to be honest with you. But of the models that I have heard, whether it's at a show or whatever, compared to any of the Maggie stuff that I heard, I like the Maggie sound a bit more. Stop the FOMO. If you guys are not subscribed to Stop the FOMO, do that now. Fantastic dude. Hey, Ron, your favorite bookshelf speakers, assume you have a subwoofer. Man, oh man. My favorite, and you didn't put a price point on there. I adore, and the more that I spend time with them, the more that I appreciate them. This is going to sound pretty crazy. I think as of right now, it is entirely possible that my favorite bookshelf speaker is the almighty XLS Encore, upgraded. My flex caps, bypass caps, the whole 9 yards, just, and get some time on them. Danny isn't putting me up to say that either. It's how I honestly feel. That's straight from the heart. I have spent so much time listening to those speakers and heard them in different environments, and I'm building my own pair right now, and I can't wait to get some time on them. That of all of the bookies that I've spent time with, bookies, that's going to make Randy so mad. And he just did a super chat for $20. He probably wants his money back. Man, the Encore with subs, it's really something special. And I think the reason why it might be my favorite is because of what it stands for. Is you now have a complete system that rivals and picks fights with really expensive stuff. And I appreciate that so much that it would be difficult for me to say that there is any other bookshelf speaker out there that I appreciate and like more than an upgraded Encore. If you're saying production speaker, I'm really enjoying these, the heck out of these. And I've had actually a couple of folks come over. Hobbs came over, Danny came over, listen to these things, and everybody's saying the same thing. They're like, hot damn, like those are good, really good. Other production speakers, man. I mean, we go back to the original ELAC, that debut. It just has a special place in my heart. Fast forward to the Unify 2.0s. Still, tried and true for an affordable production speaker. If we're not talking do-it-yourself or your favorite no matter what, the Unify 2.0 bookies are unbelievably good, in my opinion. I just feel like those are fantastic. And I have them in the garage, but I do have the Unify reference in-house, and I haven't spent time with them. And whether or not those dethrone my love for the original Unify 2.0s, that is still pending. I don't know if they will, and I'm curious to find out. So yeah. All right, I'm getting down to when I asked you guys about the sound and the microphone, so that was like an hour ago. I'll catch up. So I got a question from Patrick Kenny, and I hope he's still in here because I would actually want him to elaborate what he means by this. He asked, do you think you will ever recover your integrity after the Tecton debacle or debacle? Potato. Patrick, I would like for you to explain to me what you mean, recover my integrity. I'd be curious if you want to elaborate on that. If you're just a typical troll, then you've already gone away. But if you want to have a conversation, then I would say, let's have you have the floor, sir. Elaborate what you mean by that. Let's take a look here. Itouche asks, are those the new 4309s from JBL? Yes, they are. And they are awesome. How do they compare to the L82? I already like them more than the L82s. I feel like the L82s kind of moved in that direction of a little bit of bloom in the mid bass. A little bit of just, and I talked about that. I said it's like freshly baked bread, which it is. I think that was one of the better analogies that I've ever given. But with the 4309s, I think it's a bit cleaner sounding. And I really, every now and then I hear a little bit of a huh in mid bass, and I think it might be ports, maybe like a little bit of a port resonance. But these are very good so far. I like them a lot. They're doing nothing wrong. It's like, oh, you sent me a speaker with everything that I've ever asked you to do. Papercone driver, waveguide, control directivity. We've got a lot of things to work with. They're cool. They're cool speakers. Where cracking is gone as you speak louder. Interesting. Okay. I guess I can just kind of get up on the mic here. Talent depends on Twitter. What is your opinion on Rega products? I like Rega products. The turntables are fantastic. Specifically their amps. I don't know. I haven't heard their amplifiers, so I don't know. Hi, Ron. What is your take on Rotel Audio? Keep up the good work. I haven't spent much time with Rotel. I would be talking out of my rear end if I try to pretend that I know anything about their sound or how they perform. Rotel, they've always been one of those brands for me where it's like I feel like they were in like the hi-fi, maybe the snooty hi-fi shops. That's a jerk thing to say. I don't know. I'm going to back up on it because I don't know. I'm talking out of my rear end when it comes to Rotel. I don't know. Danny says his 6-inch open baffles are as musical as, say, the Spatial 15-inch. I would think the 15s have to be better. Well, you're using the B word, Jeff, and you know how I feel about the B word. Better. I don't know what that means. I will tell you that both of those speakers, Papercone, offer texture and tone. Both of them sound incredibly fast and quick and articulate, and I love them both. You know, which one is better? I don't know. The 15 inches are larger. That's a fact. They're bigger. So Clayton wins. Clayton's speakers are bigger. He won. He won the game. It's so stupid. Oh my goodness. All right, let's take a look here. Cheap Audio Man, super chat for $20. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That was very kind of you. Have Danny send you a pair of those pedestal speakers. I think you're thinking of the Carnegie speakers, and I don't think he actually has those in stock. I could ask him. I'll find out. I'll talk to him. I'll see what he says. Stop the FOMO. Bookies. Creamy or crunchy? For me, creamy. Yeah. Creamy peanut butter. Yep. But you put the Encore 6 inches from the wall and have some good sound. I need a pair of monitors that I can put 6 inches away from the wall, and the best I have seen are the Key 3 active monitors. Brent, why do you have to put it 6 inches from the wall? What's wrong with you, bro? Like, what are we talking, like in an office? Is that what it is? Like, you just want like a simple little, help me understand why the limitation of that? I'm curious. I am curious. What is a reasonable budget for room treatments? I would say probably $1,500 to $2,000. And how should one start? Thanks. You want to start with absorption. Once you have absorption bass, mid bass, lower mid range under control, then you have the privilege of putting up diffusers, and diffusers look cool. And everybody wants to start with diffusers for that reason. They're like, I don't want to put up some absorption. That's lame. That looks dumb. And maybe they're right. So they buy diffusion and they throw up a bunch of diffusion, and then they have nothing but issues that you know, they're just, it's like throwing spaghetti up against a wall. It's like, you got to start with absorption. And one thing that I want to emphasize, and that's why I said that budget, $1,500 to $2,000. When you go to treat a room, you need to treat the room. That is not, hear me, putting up a couple of panels on the wall and thinking you've treated the room. You need to treat the room. Okay? So you're like kind of all in, and this is something that I'll be talking about when I put this video together of the listening room and room treatment. Yeah. Hi, Ron. This thing just freaked out on me. Hold on. Let me back up. Ron, when will you review the 4309? Can't wait. I just got them in, dude. They're brand new. So I have a lot of stuff that is before them. I mean, look, I'm going to tell you straight up, they're fantastic. They are incredible. Like, these are my favorite JBLs that I've spent time with so far. I've already let JBL know you don't have anything to worry about here. Like, it'll be a very positive review. Like I said, trying to be as balanced, and I'm always as honest as I can be in these reviews, is there are some times where I think, depending on the volume that I'm listening to, where I think I might hear some port turbulence, some farting, some things like that. But man, both Hobbs and Danny, when they came over, no, Hobbs mentioned it. He's like, I cannot believe how big those sound. And that's the thing that I feel is like, these don't sound small at all. And granted, they're not small, right? I mean, next to that monster, it gives you an idea. But I mean, they're not small, but they sound huge. And the projection and what they are giving to you is really impressive. I really, really like these a lot. And the bass extension is shocking. 7 feet out into the room. Yes, I have them out. I use lots. I subscribe to what I tell you guys to do. I do the same thing. They're 7 feet into the room, and I'm getting really great bass extensions. So really nice, man. So, dude, you don't need to wait for the review for me to tell you. It'll be very positive. And the only thing that I've heard is there are some times in lower mid-range, mid-bass, maybe I'm hearing just something that I can't, it's like a honk, something that I hear. I'm like, what's going on there? I can't tell if it's port noise, something that I don't love, but it is so rare for it to show up. And everything else is so good that I just don't, frankly, I don't give a damn. It's like, yeah, whatever. That's fine. Yeah. I would be interested in buying your sample ELAC refs if you can keep them. Jeff, I will let you know. I typically offer up stuff to patrons first. I don't know if you're a patron or not. So just a heads up, if products are given to me and I'm not going to use them anymore, that's something that I might do. But yeah, we can discuss it. Just a heads up. Usually goes to patrons first. Heard your researchers new mini desktop bookie yet? Yes. Actually, I heard it last night and I heard it today, and it sounded much better today than it did yesterday. We put a pair together. Danny is shooting a little video and he needed some help with setting up the video for a talking head shot and then also over the shoulder. And so I got that set up for him and we put them together. We went into his listening room and I listened to him and I was like, they're good. I thought once, like part of one song, I was like, they're good, right? For $199 or whatever, you know, whatever you do, if you do upgrades or whatever, but if you paid $199 for those and you put them together, you will not be disappointed. Today, I went over there and Danny was like, dude, come listen to these things. And I sat down. Break-in matters. And in the 24 hours, 12 hours that they were playing, you know, a day later, I was very surprised at their imaging capabilities. Their vertical response is unbelievable. It doesn't matter where you are. If you sit, if you are on the ground, if you are up high, we look like a bunch of weirdos like doing this. Like, it doesn't change. That vocal is rock solid. Nothing changes throughout the midband. No tonal changes whatsoever. If you move off axis, horizontal, you get some changes, but vertically, none. And they're tiny, right? They're just little dudes. And I thought to myself, like, ooh, okay. Whoever is paying $199 to put these together, they're now going to put them together and go, oh, okay, well, I didn't expect this out of these. But that might happen a day after they've been listening. Like the first day, they might be like, okay, they're good. But then the next day, they'll be like, oh, well, how do you do? And how are you, Mr. Mini? So, yeah, just something to consider. Have you heard of Pure Audio Project, open baffle speakers? If so, can you compare them to spatial audio? Simon, yes. I've actually had a couple of their models in for review. I've talked about this a little bit in some other live streams because people would want to know, like, dude, that's a big player out there for open baffle. Why haven't you reviewed their stuff? And Zev, one of the nicest guys you will ever meet. He is a sweetheart. And where we landed was very diplomatic, and that is, it's just not a sound that I'm into. And, you know, Zev wouldn't mind me saying this. They're not all about measurements, really. I mean, they understand how their speaker measures, but they're not into it. They're just more about, you know, what in their mind, what good sound is, and that's what they're after. And they've got a lot of people that like that sound, and that's fine. I'm not one of them. And, you know, I think that the idea and the concept is interesting. That modular concept is interesting. But of the models that I've had in for review, I just didn't find one that I connected with. And again, very diplomatic, no freak out sessions between me and Zeev or anything. It's just like, Yeah, man. All right, we're just two reasonable dudes, and we're searching for different things. And so, for me, the Sapphire sound, as well as all the offerings from GR Research, the open baffle stuff, that's my sound, and that's what I'm moving towards. I like it quite a bit more. So there you go. Yeah. Ron, shoot from the hip. Eric Alexander can't take anything other than praise of his products, or he cries. I've seen and heard it many times. Ron's integrity is as solid as a granite block foundation. JSM Tech, thank you. I appreciate that. Excellent question at Simon Brown. Yeah, so I answered that. Simon Spatials are way better, especially in build quality and design. So we have some other people jumping in there. Unify reference versus SVS Prime Pinnacles. I would take the Unify reference so far. That's a great comparison, though, because the only Unify reference that I've reviewed are the towers, and I was surprised to see a bit of a drop after 15K in my response. And what I heard it first, and then I measured. I'm like, man, that is surprising that he went in that direction, or it seems as if he went in that direction. And so, much like the Prime Pinnacles that play that same game, they have a little bit of a softer top end. It's a pleasant sound. A lot of people like that sound. There's nothing wrong with it. But between those two, I think that I would probably take the Unify reference over the Pinnacles. Pinnacles might have a bit more punchier, like a bit more impact in bass, but I think that the Unify reference might sound a little bit more cleaner, articulate. It's a tough one. That's a great comparison, man. That's a great one. Hey, Ron, I got a killer deal on the NAD 778. Any speaker recommendations for it for a 5.1.2 setup, both home theater and music? Scott, dude, for me, I would be looking at ELAC offerings, hands down. I mean, throw a little Unify system together, maybe a debut reference system together, which those are incredible. A little bit more punch and thunder down below. I mean, they'll clobber you. That would be a killer little system. There's no doubt about that. All right, let's take a look here. I'm almost down to the very bottom, and it looks like our friend that asked that question about Tecton took a hike. So I was hoping he would explain what he meant about my integrity. I was curious what he was going to have to say there. He's been in the live chats before, and he has left that exact message. So we'll just wait. Maybe in a different live chat down the road, his mom will give him enough time to stay on the computer to have a conversation. Maybe. Can you share what Danny's reference gear is? Yes. A lot of the stuff is made by Gary Dodd. Rest in peace, Gary. Never met the man. I wish I did. Gary Dodd was a brilliant designer that built preamps, power amplifiers, DACs, a whole lot of different stuff. And the way that he would go about it is getting off the grid. And so almost all of Danny's stuff is battery powered by a 12-volt battery. And his preamp his DAC is. His power amps are not. His power amps are something special that Jeremy from Folsom Audio and Danny, they're kind of collaborating and working together on. There's some monoblocks in there that are wow. And I am encouraging Danny to bring those to market. They need to, because they sound incredible. And we'll see what happens. Danny takes his time. He wants to get it right. So I'm curious to see what he does. But yeah, so he's using those. NX Streams are plopped down right now for a good reason, because they are insanely good. He's got triple H-frame open baffle subs, plate amps. Danny's system is crazy. One of the best that I've spent time enjoyed listening to. It's very good. Let's take a look here. Chris says, I've got a 3D printed mounting plate designed for Danny's mini bookie crossover if anyone is interested. Chris, that's awesome, man. That's very cool. Have you heard Danny's NX Studios at $900 Wonder? Yes, I have many times, and they're fantastic. Really cool design. I mean, you have that Neo tweeter at top, and then you've got a ramp behind it, so you're getting some of those spatial cues and anything that dances within the time domain. It is out there in the open for you to enjoy. So it's kind of a hybrid open baffle studio monitor, if you will, and they sound wicked good. They sound very, very. They're not like an Encore. Encore might have a little bit more body through the midband, a little bit more meat on the bones from midband and upper mid-range, whereas the studio monitor dances on the side of a little bit more transparency, a little bit more speed, a little bit more clarity, pinpoint accuracy, little tiny nuggets of information where it's like, man, that is pinpoint. It's more that type of a sound. Both are fantastic, but yeah. So hopefully that helps. There was a video about Danny's setup a while back. It was pretty mind-blowing. Yeah. Wait, you got to come on down to Texas. Come on down to Texas and then come over to my house. I'm like 7 minutes away from Danny, so you can listen to both of our systems and hang out with us. I'll smoke up some ribs for you if you come down. If anybody ever comes down to Texas, you will be treated well. I have sweet tea. My wife will pop popcorn, and I'll smoke up some ribs. Maybe a brisket. I'm about to try a brisket. I'm going to do it. Can't stop me. All right, here we go. If you like the soft dome two-way that he makes better. Yeah, Jeff, so I just answered your question by talking about the difference between the Encores and the Studios. They're both fantastic in different ways. Let's take a look here. Q Acoustics Concept 300. Any thoughts? Yes, they are going to be out on the dance floor this week. And I promised Q Acoustics that the review would be done mid-July. So that gives you a time frame on the Q Acoustics 300s. I like the 500s more than the 300s, even with subs. So I'm going to get that out of the gate early, just in case you're like, ooh, which one? Which one does he like? I think I like the 500s a bit more. The 300s are very good. And there are more things in common with the 500s than what's different between the two. They share more in common than what separates them. But I'll discuss that when I get to the 300 review. Is that your dinner in the bowl? Popcorn. Yes. No, we had dinner already. Hey, JC, on the props to Texton's new AMT and the URAs. I haven't heard them live, but the treble in 2 channels on the online demo was quite good. Well, that's awesome. That's great. Fantastic. We got a super chat. Thank you so much from, I can barely see it. I don't have my glasses. JC Ty 100, I think, if I'm saying that right. Anyways, hey, Ron, is it better to buy the top of the range from a certain brand versus the same money spent on entry or middle of the lineup on a more upscale brand? Oh, that is a tough question. And I think I don't want to ignore that question, but I would say I think it needs to be more refined, more specific, because it'd be kind of like this. Would I rather buy, something from ELAC, Unifies, Debut Reference, whatever, versus many of the speakers, bookshelf speakers that are going to be even up to $1,000? The answer is yes. I would rather take the ELACs. So I think that's answering your question in a different way, in that, it's not just about, these bookshelf speakers are more expensive and therefore they must be better. I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. And I don't know about upscale brands, because that's kind of tricky as well. I mean, are we talking like, entry level for, Sonus Fabers? Like, well, what entry level for them is still going to be a lot of money. Are we talking about entry level for like Dyne Audio? Are we talking, you know, it needs to be more specific, but I do think that there are many brands out there, ELAC as the example that I gave, where you don't need to spend a lot of money and they would rival or upset or pick fights with some of the more exotic price points, or sometimes double the price point of said speaker. Yeah. So here's a question I have. My cousin came over and was surprised by my OG Unify towers have taller soundstage than his golden ears. Huh. Well, that's really cool. Interesting. Next question. Hey, Ron, I listen to a lot of music while I work on PC. I'm looking for an audiophile quality speakers with near field. My budget is about $2K. What speakers and associated components do you recommend? Wow. Man, for $2,000, what would I do? Oh, that's a good question, man. I think that if you don't need the speakers to be really small, you would be hard pressed to beat the Encores, which we've already discussed further back in this live stream. If you're going like that do-it-yourself route, you might as well load them up because you've got the budget to load them up. So get the best of the best stuff that GR Research offers, and those will be insane. So you're set with your speakers, and that's going to give you $1,200, $1,000, $1,200 to, if not more, $1,200–$1,300 to look for an amp. And you've got a lot of options at that point. You know, if you wanted something like smaller, there's a lot of class D stuff out there. Cheap Audio Man would give you many solid recommendations that won't even touch your budget. There's no doubt. So if you want to reach out to Randy, he has reviewed more stuff than like all of us combined in that arena of, you know, amplifiers and things like that. There's a couple of really interesting products coming out of China that I have my hands on right now. There's a Class A amp. I forget the name of it. It's the A1 or something like that, or A11. I even forget the brand that does it, but nevertheless, it's Class A amplifier, and it's designed for like desktop. And I would imagine that with some Encores might sound pretty killer. And I actually have it, so I'm gonna have to crack that open and try it with some Encores and see what happens. But that's probably what I would do. If the Encores end up being too big and you're still thinking about do it yourself, Danny's just released a Bravo, which is a smaller Encore. And so that would be an interesting option as well. If you don't want to go in the route of do it yourself and you want like a production speaker, then I would go back to my tried and true recommendations, which would be the Unify 2.0 or the Debut Reference. Both of those are high up on my list. And I would say that that's still within your budget. So yeah. All right, let's take a look here. Don't know if this has been asked yet, but how's the GoFundMe going on the Newman? Going for the Newman? Yeah, it's going well. We are $2,500 away from our goal. It's been a long time since I've mentioned it or that I've refreshed it. So there's been a lot of generosity to make that happen, and I hope that we can. I hope that we can raise enough to buy that thing. The unit that I had was a loaner unit, and it's already gone. It's been back for a few weeks now. So when we go to buy it, if we hit our goal, or when we hit our goal, I feel confident that we can do this. We'll be buying a new one. The price is the same, so we'll get a brand new unit, and we can get back to doing sound clips with commentary, because that thing spoiled me. I mean, it just sounds so freaking so good. Are you planning on reviewing the Hagel amplifier that you received a while ago? Yes, the H390. After I knock out the NAD M33, which is the next integrated amplifier that I'm going to be reviewing, The next integrated amplifier after that is going to be the Hagel H390. So both of those back to back. It's going to be awesome. And they're both killer. They both do a lot of amazing things in very different ways. So I'm excited to talk about that. Hey, Ron, have you ever listened to the Parasound JC2BP preamp? What are your thoughts on the sound quality only? I don't know. I haven't spent time with it, so I don't know. If anybody has, help them out. More questions about Randy, the binaural. Scott, hey, have a good night, man. Appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, Ron, random turntable question. Do you still use the dual 1229 turntable? Yes. Yes, I do. Grotto cartridge with it. Ever experienced feedback issues? No feedback issues. That's my wife's turntable. We'll probably have that forever. And no, I didn't have any feedback issues when using a Grotto cartridge at all. Any chance of getting your hands on Kef's reference or R series? I've asked. I've put in the request directly to Kef. I hope so. I hope so. Yeah. Hey, Ron, love your channel. Did I miss the Revel review, or is it still coming? Heard the Salon Ultima in a brick and mortar store. I need to know more about the lineup. Yeah, the review is out. Just go to my channel, click on videos, and it's not too far back. I think the title of the video is The Juice Worth the Squeeze, something along those lines. You can check it out and hear what I had to say about that guy. Hey, Ron, are you still going to peek at the crossover in the ELAC UBR52, seeing some big polycaps versus UB52 in Joe and Tell's video, but he only showed a small snippet? Sean, I'd be happy to crack that open and take a look. Andrew is not one of those manufacturers that is concerned about me taking a look on the inside and seeing what's in there, so I'll make that happen. No problem. More questions about desktop speakers. I just answered that. I already answered that. So in audio show, listening to Mur Audio SP1, can you talk? Oh, yeah. Dude, so the Mur Audio SP1, man, that was a speaker that jacked me up. That jacked me up. And funny enough, I have hounded them. I'm like, guys, I got sweet tea here in Texas. You can come down. I'll smoke up some ribs for Mur Audio all day long. That is to say, I really like that SP1 a lot. And they finally got back with me not too long ago. And it sounds like they're at least open to the idea of doing something. I don't know exactly what they have in mind. But I would love to review that SP1. I thought what I heard was special, unique, different, a cut above most, and I would love to check it out. I would love to. So yeah. Chris Kelly says, hey, Ronaldine, you put a lot of stock in speakers disappearing. Yes, I do. Do you think big floor standers can disappear like a bookshelf, or is the disappearing act inherent to smaller speaker designs? I think both can do it. I have wrestled with the idea that it is all about the size of the baffle, thin baffle. Is that lending itself to less diffraction, less surface area? Is that making it so inherently the speaker has the ability to disappear better? I think it's safe to say that that could be part of the story. I think that very well might be true. But at the same time, I can set up those sapphires and I can get them to let go. I can get them to let go. There's times, music dependent, where you close your eyes and you don't hear big baffles. So it's tricky. It's something that these are the kinds of things that keep me up at night because I don't fully understand what's going on. Why? What is it? Is it maybe it's everything? Maybe there's just more to it than just small, which inherently maybe that's giving them the ability to push into the lead, but that's not the whole. I don't think that is the whole story. I think there's more to it than that. So that's a great question, man. Now I'm going to be up all night. Q Acoustics Connect 300 versus JBL 4309. I've never heard the Connect 300 Concept 300. Q Acoustics Concept 300 or JBL 4309s. What a price difference, right? I mean, you have to understand that with those concepts, you're paying $1,000 for the stands if you get their stands. So you have to take that into consideration. They look very pretty. I'm going to wrestle with that because I like them both. At the price, I think you're getting better value with the 4309s. I don't think. Oh, interesting. Gershman. I just got a Facebook message from Ofra. Gershman Acoustics. They're sending me one of their speakers to review. That'll be fun. I think you're going to get so much value with these. Like, you're done. Throw them on monoprice stands. You're done. And so, that's hard, man. I think I might be leaning to the 4309s in that particular fight, and I'm having a hard time with it because I do like the 300s quite a bit. I do think they do a lot of really amazing things. But I think, no BS, I think I might take the 4309s. I think I would. Yeah. That's a tough one. That made me feel all uncomfortable. Have you had any experience with Rel subs? Yes, I have. And they sound awesome. They sound great. Greetings from Brazil. Hello. I'm confused whether you like the debut or Unify better. So am I, Jeff. They're both great. I think that the Unify 2.0s offer a little bit better staging capabilities. I think they disappear a little bit better in the room. Give you that holographic, lifelike performance a little bit better than the debut reference. I like the tone of the debut reference a little bit more. I like the texture and tone of the bass and mid bass a little bit more in the debut reference than I do the Unify reference. Or the Unify 2.0s. So I'm also confused. It's hard. Sometimes it's just not that easy to say which one is better. Sometimes you got to kind of, no. That's why my job is so awesome, because I get to just play with all this stuff. I don't own it all, but I get to play with it all, which is fun. So yeah. Any possible ETA on the upcoming SVS Ultra Tower review? How did you know that I had those? I've had those for a while. Those are soon. I would say early August, late July, early August would be the ETA on the SVS Ultra Towers. My super chat question was geared more towards electronics like Yamaha or Rotel. Okay, I'm with you, buddy. Yamaha. I love a lot of the integrated amps from Yamaha. I adore them. You give me a silver-faced Yamaha and I'm a happy camper. So I would say if you're asking for recommendations on like a desktop or whatever system put together, get a Yamaha in there. I love them. Jeff is asking a great question. Ron, the Holo preamp, is it now your new reference preamp? Just couldn't quite tell from the review. No, it's not. Tim from Holo Audio is allowing me to hang on to it, do like a longer term type situation. Nothing has been given in exchange for reviews or any of that kind of stuff. Okay. He wants me to hang on to it, spend more time with it. It is not my reference preamp. My reference preamp, I would say if I have a reference preamp, it would be my Dot Audio. And that does come with a disclaimer that I do think that it brings a little bit of magic, as I talked about in the review, is it's doing something. It has a tube in there, and that tube is doing some special things. It's like a little pixie dust on everything that I'm hearing, and I love it, and I know it, and I recognize it, and I'm familiar with it, which is what makes it a great reference, is because I know what it's doing. That with that being said, the Serene might be the ultimate preamp for a reviewer because it does nothing. It just, you know what it does? It just gets out of the way. And whatever you're feeding it and whatever you're feeding it to is what does the magic. So it is special. I don't love the lack of additional single-ended outputs. I wish it had more. I'm kind of diehard about that, maybe a little bit crazy about that. Like I need to have a set of two. You got to give me one to feed to power amps and one to feed to subs or something else, or allow me to buy amp. Give me the options, and it doesn't offer that, which is a bummer. So those are my thoughts, but it's phenomenal. It's definitely phenomenal. All right. I want to get Danny's open baffle subs for music, but due to their space, I would need them to run dual duty for home theater. Would you recommend this? Yes, absolutely. I used my open baffle subs for, home theater, you name it, and I loved it. It sounds ridiculous, to be frank with you. It sounds insane. So highly recommended. Yes, you can. Yes, you should. You will love it. I promise. Let's just take a look here. One second. It freaked out on me, so I'm trying to get aligned again here. If I get the Holo Audio May DAC, because it has galvanic isolation for the USB, would it affect the sound if I just use a laptop for the head unit? I hate to break it to you there, Mike. Yes. From personal experience, you will be hindering the performance of the May DAC, its full capabilities, if you just feed a laptop to it. And that's not BS. That's because I've tried it. And when you have a server, a dedicated server intended and designed and built specifically for the purpose of just delivering audio, it really makes a big difference. And I hate to say that because it's like, do you need to rush out and get a Zenith? No. Do you need, there's affordable offerings out there. And as an example, Danny uses a modified Mac Mini. And even with the modifications that he has on that Mac Mini, it's not going to touch the price of something like a Zenith. And I'm dying to do a shootout between the two servers and see which one wins, So know this, if you get the May DAC, it will still sound crazy good. But feeding it just a laptop, it's not going to give you 100%. It's not. And that's the truth, So yeah. Thank you for your channel, Ron. You and Danny are great. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Let's take a look here. As a rule of thumb, should speakers be ported specifically if they are using two 10-inch woofers? You're asking just a blanket statement. You're asking a blanket question. It's just like, that's just way too broad. And the answer would be no. There is no rule of thumb that would suggest that. The field parameters of the driver is going to dictate whether it belongs in a sealed design, ported design, or if it's acceptable for, open baffle. And that would be based on QTS. That would be parameters that you would take a look at, and it would dictate what does this woofer want to see in terms of, the enclosure type. But there is no rule of thumb that would suggest that. When will you be posting the X5 review? I don't know for sure, Arthur. That's the honest to goodness truth. I've got too many pending projects ahead of the X5s. So, and I need to spend more time with them, and I want to spend more time with them. And when I get to that review, I want to make sure I get it right. So I don't know. September, if I can commit to anything, like realistically, it probably won't be at least until September. Just knowing how much stuff that I have before it that I have to get done, where I've already have deadlines, it'll probably be September timeframe is if I was to make a guess. So yeah. We got a super chat from Travis. Travis, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And Travis is asking, I am new to audio hobby, only 2 years. I feel like I have made a mistake with some purchases. Can you give newbies some words of encouragement? Yes. Newbies. You know, the biggest words of encouragement that I can offer you is, whether you believe me or not, most of the enjoyment that is waiting for you in this hobby, whatever you want to call it, passion, whatever, is free. It's free. You don't need to pay for it. I did an extensive video called LOTS, that is loudspeaker optimization techniques for soundstage. I put a lot of hard work and effort and thought into that video. If you just go to YouTube and you just type in LOTS speaker setup, you should find it, or go to my channel and type in LOTS and you should find it. There are some moments where it doesn't matter how much money you spend, where you might think you have a bad system. And the reality is you haven't even heard the system yet. This is based on how things are set up. And just by starting with getting speakers away from the walls, giving them some room to breathe, and using the advice that I gave in LOTS, I think you're in for a surprise. So my words of encouragement is, if you feel like you have wasted some money on some stuff, it's possible that you did. Maybe you did. But there's a good possibility that you're wrong and you haven't even heard what that system can actually do. I'm saying this with as much humility as I can, but I have jacked up some audio files through the years where they thought they had a bad system. And I'm like, stop. All right. Listen. It's like that. So it's a big deal. So that would be my words of encouragement, is consider changing how your speakers are positioned before you draw the conclusion that you have wasted your money. Evening Wrong, thoughts on Denafrips Aries 2 and the Terminator. Even though I'd need to win the lottery for a Terminator. You know, Louis, and by the way, long time fan there. That's awesome to see you, man. Thank you for the super chat. Randy won't shut up about the Aries 2. And he just calls me every 5 minutes and he's like, it's the greatest thing ever. It's the greatest thing ever. So he's really excited and pumped about that Aries 2, but not just him. He's recommended enough to where a lot of the people that listen to, I don't have cheap audio. Where is he? Here's Randy. I know I had him on here. Here's Randy. They agree. And they're like, dude, you weren't joking. Like, this is making a huge difference in my system. And so a lot of people really like the Aries 2. I can't comment on it because I haven't heard it. I have heard the Terminator. That was one of the first R2R DACs that I've heard. I had the Bifrost 2, and the Bifrost 2 was like, okay, smooth. Sounds smooth. And I got a lot of flack for that review. And I was like, well, what do you want from me? Like, I tell you guys the truth. And even if it's just, it sounds smooth, then that's what that was my experience. With the Terminator, it was a different experience. It was, okay, time to rob a bank because I can't afford this, right? As I talked about in the review of the Terminator, it's like working all day in the sun, and then you just jump into the most refreshing, perfect temperature swimming pool. You're just, well, that's nice. Not just smooth. There's some fireworks. There's some stuff going on in there that is like exciting and exhilarating, but it's never calling attention to itself, and it's never forcing itself. It's like it just has this ease to the sound, and just it offers up music in a very musical way. I don't know how else to describe it, but same day, literally the same day that I'm reviewing the Terminator, the Holo Audio Maydac shows up, and I swap it out after publishing the video of the Terminator, and I was like, and there's yet another level. There's another level. And the Maydac has been my reference since then. So there you go. It is the best sounding DAC that I've ever spent time with. It is incredible. Unbelievable. And I think Holo Audio just announced the Spring 3, or they're going to, like, any minute. And, you know, that might be interesting based on conversations with Tim about what they've done and their thought behind the Spring 3. He's like, I'm kind of worried we made it too good. And I was like, that's not something you need to be worried about. That's progress. That's what we ask you for, is make more affordable stuff even better, to where it then picks fights with the big boy stuff. Like, and then make the big boy stuff better, or just keep selling it to lawyers and doctors and other clowns. You know, they'll keep buying it. So yeah, I'm joking. Hey, Ron, did you find there to be a sound difference between the LTA MZ3 and Z10 with headphones? I don't remember. I don't think so. I don't think there was a big, monstrous difference between those two when I did the review. I don't remember them sounding much different from each other. So yeah, good question. Digital analog preamps versus straight analog line level preamps. What's the biggest drawbacks to line level preamps besides digital inputs? That's a good question, Tommy. I think it comes down to the specific preamp. You get you use the word digital around audiophiles, and half the room just gets kind of squirmy, like, you want a digital preamp, huh? I don't feel that way. I mean, I've spent some time with some digital preamps that I think sounded pretty dang good. At the end of the day, I do prefer analog. I do prefer it. Let me say it like this. If I'm going to put a tube somewhere in my system, if there has to be a tube somewhere, it's in the preamp. So that gives you an idea of what I am going for, what I like, what I'm after, because I think that's the spot where I like it the most, is in the preamp. So, kind of gives you an idea there. Hey, Ron, what's your opinion on stuffing the speaker ports? Is it a good option, or do you ruin the original design? You do not ruin the original design. Oftentimes, I'll do it. And oftentimes, if I'm trying to blend in with a sub, or I'm trying to, minimize port chuffing well farts that nobody likes, then yeah, there's nothing wrong with doing that. You don't ruin the design. That's hogwash. So yeah, there's times. I'll talk about that I talked about it with the Concept 500 review. I was very specific about what I said with that one. And I'll talk about it again with the Concept 300. And I would go as far as to say, I would just wish more manufacturers would just throw in port plugs. So in the event where we're trying to blend, said speaker to a sub, just plug in the ports can often get that blend a little bit easier to manage. So yeah. All right, let's take a look here. Are open baffle subs better to have with open baffle speakers, or are box subs just as good, or does it depend on the sub itself? Great question. Open baffle subs and open baffle speakers are peanut butter and jelly. I've tried getting that perfect blend of an open baffle speaker to a sealed sub or a ported sub, and every time I do it, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Because now I have room boom with open baffle, everything else. It's like, what am I doing? Like, I'm a clown. Like, I got my clown shoes. I woke up and I put on my clown shoes. Like, why did I do that? Let me take off my clown shoes and do this the way that it was meant to be, which is open baffle subs, open baffle towers. That's how it's meant to be. And I think that blend and that character that Open Baffle offers, it works better that way. So that's my thoughts. Yeah. Let's take a look here. Ron, I'm leaving right now. I'm gonna put my shoes on, keep pop ready. Okay, sounds good. Jeff, our jingle, come on down, dude. Top-notch USB to SPDIF converter can help with streaming and computer audio. Even ASR gave kudos to shit. Oh, I'm getting some. Oh, look at that. Jeff is now look at that. He's a patron. Hey, thanks, Jeff. Some clipping or interface with the mic. Okay. Yes, I hear clipping too. I thought it was just me. I'm sorry about that, guys. You know, I don't know why I'm not seeing anything that is clipping. I'll turn down the mic gain just a little bit. We'll bring that down to a few notches down. We'll see if that's a little bit better. Hopefully that helps. Confirmed on the clipping. Okay, so I've backed off my gain a couple of notches. Let me know if that is better down below. And I'll shoot down there in a minute and see what you guys have to say. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Your opinion about the Arcam SA20 1500? I don't know. Never heard the Arcam stuff. I don't know. John is in the house. John. Ooh. One of the coolest guys in the whole world. One of the nicest guys in the whole world is in the house. Mr. John S. Glad to see you, buddy. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Martin just said something that's pretty profound. He said, to newbies, you can only learn your preferences from experience, even if it's a bad experience. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. How do you know if you're going to hate horn speakers unless you get on the dance floor with some horn speakers? How do you know if you're going to hate open baffle speakers unless you get on the dance floor with open baffle speakers? Like, you got to sometimes take a chance. You know, it's like dating speakers. It's like dating. It's like, okay, well, you just got to kind of just take a stab at it and see where things land. And that's true. Yeah, it's true. YG Acoustics, only heard their stuff at shows. So yeah, I don't know. I bought the Aries 2 and I emailed Randy within 10 minutes. Couldn't believe what I was hearing. So there you go. There you go. Seems like the Aries 2 is pretty awesome. El Gordo Audio. If you guys are not subscribed to El Gordo, make sure you do so. Super cool guy, fellow Texan. Hello, Ron. Glad to be able to catch your live stream. It's good to see you, buddy. Randy nailed the shit versus Denafrips differences this morning. That is awesome. I'm not surprised. Randy is half man, half amazing. All right, let's take a look here. Sorry, it just freaked out on me. I got to get this all fixed. All right, here we go. YGs. Okay, I'm caught up to you guys. Hey, look at that. How far are we in? Hour and 43 minutes. Okay. How do I get permission to play rock and roll and blues music on YouTube videos? David, you can't. I mean, it's more complex than that. I mean, here's what I do. I signed up for what is called Epidemic Sound, and that is a company that you pay money to monthly. It's $15. And then they open their catalog of random music files that you can download and you can use as a content creator. And that's your permission. But if you're asking me, how do you get permission to use John Lee Hooker? Is John Lee Hooker alive? Somebody know? I don't know if he is. You could literally call him and he could be like, yeah, bro, that's cool, man. I think John's probably a reasonable guy. He'd be like, yeah, man, go ahead and use it. No, it's not the way it works. There's too many hands in the cookie jar. You're still going to get flagged. You're still going to get dinged. You're still going to get your channel in trouble. And no, don't believe all the nonsense about there. Like, well, if you play it for just a short amount of time. No, it is still a copyright violation, they can still come after you. So don't do it. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I don't know. I'm watching on TV and there is no clipping whatsoever. I'll run. Okay. All right. Well, sounds better now. Okay, so maybe it was a preamp gain. I wonder if I just had the if I had this cranked up too much. So I'm glad it's better. So I've just lowered the gain on the mic, and hopefully that fixed it. All right, let's take a look here. What are your thoughts on the latest generation of ribbon tweeters? What is the latest generation of ribbon tweeters? I'm kind of out of the loop on what exactly that would be. You tell me. Is there a specific model, speaker out there, new fancy schmancy design? I don't know. Let me know. Have you listened to a Parasound amp from the Halo line? Yes. A long time ago, I reviewed the Halo. What is it? The original Halo integrated amplifier is fine. It's nice. Very flexible. Lots of features. Great feature set. Nice sounding amps. I like the Halo stuff. I like it. John Curl Designs, if I'm not mistaken. Class AB. I like them. No problems. No caution. No disclaimer. No, ooh, you sure you want to get that amp? No, none of that. Like they're good. They're actually quite good. So yeah. Next time you see Danny, please ask him if he likes the Horror Show Clockwork Orange t-shirt that I sent him. It's funny. He showed me that t-shirt and he's like, some guy sent this to me. Do you know what this is? And I was like, no, I don't. Yeah. Well, now I know. It came from Jeff. What do you think of Joey Chestnut eating 67 hot dogs? I hope he makes it out alive. That's what I think. All right, guys. Any other last minute questions? I think we're going to call it a night. We did an hour and 46 minutes. It's getting a little bit toasty back here in the studio. We don't have AC back here. And so we usually prop up the door that is like right there, but my wife is watching TV and I was worried that the noise was going to bleed through. So I want to eat this popcorn, hang out with my wife for a little while. I appreciate you guys. This week, NAD M33 review. Yeah. The answer to every question you ask about the NAD M33 is yes. It's freaking awesome. It's great. I really like it a lot. Very impressive. So yeah, that'll be coming out. Oh, before I forget, guys, very important. I announced this earlier, but just in case you missed it, this Wednesday, 8:00 p.m., we're going to do another live stream, and we're going to do all Super Chats proceeds to help out Chris from the vinyl attack. The dudes in Michigan, they just had like sheets of rain that came down. His entire studio basement was flooded, and he was out helping people in his truck. And when I heard that, I was like, we got to help out Chris. We got to help him out. So show up, be generous, be kind. All Super Chat proceeds, all of the earnings of that night. And Danny's going to be here. It'll be his first live stream. I can't wait to see him be like, oh, this is a lot. So yeah, show up in full force, NRD style, and let's show Chris how we do it here at New Record Day. So yeah, we're done. We will see you guys in the next video. Hold on. I just saw something come up and they look mad. They said, thanks for ignoring my question. Patrick Nekalakui. Let me back up. I'm sorry if I missed your question. Patrick, give me a second. I probably just skipped over it, man. I'm sorry. I'm not seeing anything. If you want to ask again, Patrick, if you're still here, Patrick Nekauluk, I can't say your last name. I apologize. I feel bad, but it sounds like you've got a question and you want an answer. So I'll give you a minute. I'll give you a minute. My question got skipped also. Sound fantastic. All right. Let me see here. Fan works good for passive cooling. What is more important in your opinion, sound diffusion or sound absorption? Answer: sound absorption is more important. Sound diffusion is a privilege that you get to play with once you have absorption handled. Got it. How do you feel about MoFi pressings, both vintage 70s and current offerings, one steps included? I like the one step stuff. Anything that I've heard from the one step, I like it. I'm frustrated that it costs so much money. Yeah. So I like it. I mean, any of the MoFi offerings that I've heard, there's a couple from like, there's only a couple in there that I don't love. Most, if not all of the MoFi stuff that I've heard, I actually like. So, all right. Question, Patrick. How do you feel about? Okay. So it looks like I answered the question. All right. Sorry, I got you upset there. I apologize. I can tell you guys right now, it's a lot harder to do this than you would think it is. And it's more of like an interface issue, because the way this, like, it's hard to explain. it's a wonky interface and it's difficult. I really try to make sure I get to every question, and sometimes I miss them. So I'm sorry about that. I got some more questions. What does Google stand for? I don't know. Randy and Ron bromance. Yes, it is deep. It goes deep. It's a deep love. Thoughts on the new Kings of Convenience record? Haven't heard it. Don't know. Hi, Ron. I have a Riga RB300 arm. What do you think others recommend for a mid-price cartridge? What's mid-priced? Give me a number. Like, give me a specific number of what you consider mid-priced. You skipped mine. Go ahead and let me know. I'm still here, man. Ask the question. Fire away. How do I stop my house from shaking when I jam out? You don't. You embrace it and you shake it more. That's what you do. You shake it more. It's YouTube chat feed. Now you know why streamers use monitors turned sideways to get more length. Yeah, it's true. It's just a terrible interface. Hey, Ron, any recommendations for a phono preamp? I'm currently using that in the 80s NAD and would like to know if I should look at taking the next step, maybe $500. Under $500, the Lounge Audio MK3 is still my favorite bargain phono preamp. I love it. If you're doing MM, moving magnet, that is my favorite. So that's my thoughts. Yeah. Hey, Ron, you get to listen to the Holo Audio Spring DAC yet? Yes. Well, I've listened to the Spring 2, and there will be a video that I'll do comparing and contrasting the Spring 2 versus the May DAC. And depending on the time frame, if I have the Spring 3, I'll just knock out all three. What are the differences between these three? So that'd be interesting. Jerry is saying, answer, please. Answer what, please? Did I miss your question? Parasound or Yamaha AS1200 Hint 6? I would do the Yamaha. Yamaha AS1200, Jerry. That's what I would do. I would do it I would pick that over the Parasound myself. So yeah. Ron, something in the $500 to $1,000 price range. Thank you. $1,000, tried and true Dynavector 20X2L. I think they're just over $1,000, so it's going to be at the high end of your budget. That is my favorite cartridge of all time. I still use mine to this very day. I love that cartridge. It's fantastic. So there you go. What would you suggest for someone whose goal is to implement a high-pass filter for mains without AV current setup in typical PC to DAC to stereo amp to main, subwoofer in parallel from amp? Oh my goodness sakes, that just gave me a headache. What would you suggest to implement high-pass filter for mains without an AV? PC to DAC to stereo amp to main, subwoofer in parallel from amp. I don't know if I would do a high pass. I think what I would do is I would find out the slope of where your mains are dropping, and I would bring your sub up to that point, and I would call it a day. I don't think that I would implement any kind of a high pass. I would there's advantages there. You get some bass off of the speakers, and typically they will perform a little bit better in mid-band and beyond, but I wouldn't go about it that way. I would just let them play down, and then I would bring the sub up to where they're playing. Yeah. So, all right. I ended the live chat. I came back because I saw a couple more. This could keep going on forever, but I want to spend some time with the wife. So I'm gonna call it a night, guys. Don't be mad at me now. We'll be doing more live chats. Like I said earlier, we're going to be doing a live chat this Wednesday, so join us then. And for real now, good night. Thank you all. I appreciate you all. Take care. Thank you.